Hello, everybody. Welcome to our MSW Day presentation. This is our part one information session. We're going to be covering our program from the perspective of student admissions and helping you apply to the program. My name is Andre. I'm a recruitment advisor here at the School of Social Work. Thank you so much for joining us today. Somebody give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Awesome. Okay. Welcome to the MSW, the Wayne State School of Social Work MSW program. We are excited to have you here. Wayne State University is a special place and a special place to learn social work. We are one of the most diverse college campuses in the nation, and we have students from all over the world, both at Wayne State University and at the Wayne State School of Social Work. A large part of social work education is talking about diversity in a very real, applied way. And so for that reason, Wayne State being a microcosm of the real world becomes a really important, beneficial place to learn social work. Our mission at the School of Social Work, as all great institutions have a mission statement, our mission is to create and advance social work knowledge and prepare a diverse student body, that's you, for social work practice that promotes social justice with a particular focus on urban communities. We're very proud of our urban home at this in Detroit at the School of Social Work, and think that it provides a very unique learning opportunity for our students. We develop practitioners, conduct research, and foster community engagement for those urban communities. Like I said earlier, we're going to be talking about the MSW program for this first part of our MSW day from a admissions perspective. So this conversation is kind of everything you need to know about applying to the program, right? So I think one of the most important things to ask yourself when you're starting this process is, where do I lie in the application cycle? And what am I eligible for? So we're hopefully going to answer that question for you here. We have what's called the congruent learning model at the School of Social Work. So our courses build on one another. There are specific prerequisites for our program, and we have both full-time and part-time plans of work. But when you're coming in to start the program, it's important to think about which track you are eligible for, because your undergraduate degree determines what program section you are eligible for. So we have two kind of program options, if you will. Again, they're dictated specifically by your undergraduate degree. So for individuals that have a bachelor's of social work admitted within the last 5 years, that's important. So awarded within the last 5 years of bachelor's of social work, you're eligible for what we call our advanced standing program. And that is 10 months full-time, about 2.5 years part-time. And those programs admit in the spring, summer full-time and fall term for part-time. And again, you must have a bachelor's of social work awarded within the last 5 years to be eligible for advanced standing. All other folks are eligible for our core program, which I'll talk about in just a second. The advanced standing program full-time is kind of where most students start or choose, because of that you can't really beat that 10 months. You start by doing a kind of half semester, or kind of a spring summer semester, which we used to refer to as the bridge. So you do an elective, and then you also do your concentration elective. So for our interpersonal students, our clinical students, you take DSM. For our community social work students, you do community organizational measures. And if you're wondering what a concentration is, or what the difference between community and interpersonal practice is, you'll want to stay tuned to the second part of today's presentation. After you complete that spring summer term full-time, you then go into fall winter. So you do a full fall term with a practicum placement internship, a winter term with a practicum internship, and then you walk in May with your MSW. So for a lot of our bachelor students, they go from, so if you're just finishing your bachelor's now, you can walk in May, do spring, summer, fall, winter, walk in May again with your master's. Pretty good deal. The The community track, our Innovation in Community Policy and Leadership, ICPL. For us, for my new folks, everything in social work is an acronym, so get used to that. For the ICPL students, your plan of work is the same. You're doing that spring, summer, and then doing a fall, winter term. And if you look at some of these classes here, you'll see what concentration within the MSW program entails. Concentration essentially means is what kind of social work do you want to do and what specialized skills do you need to complete those requirements. So things like psychodynamic, cognitive behavioral therapy, organizational measures, evaluation, those are the kinds of things that you'll learn in your specific MSW program. And concentrations are salient for both the advanced standing program and the core program. So as I mentioned earlier, we have two program pathways depending on your undergraduate degree. If you have an undergraduate degree in another discipline, or if your BSW was awarded outside of the last 5 years, you are eligible for our MSW core program, which only admits for fall term. It's 2 years full-time and about 3 to 4 years part-time. Now, a common question or kind of misconception I get between sometimes students have is like, my undergraduate degree is in something else. I want to get into social work. Excuse me. Should I do a BSW? And, the short answer is no. By having an undergraduate degree, you are eligible for the MSW program through the core program. Doesn't make sense for you to do 2-year undergraduate degree and then a 1-year master's program to just do a 2-year master's degree, right? So the core program is broken up into two, or full-time, the program is broken up into 2 years. The first year is a prescribed set of courses, as you see here. That's known as the foundation year. And if you want to think about it on a theoretical aspect, the foundation year is more or less like a condensed BSW in terms of the curriculum. The reason that students with a BSW are eligible to do an advanced program is because they've covered a lot of the foundational concepts in their undergraduate program. So the first year of our core program, you're taking the building blocks, right? Methods, diversity, lifespan development, groups, advocacy and social justice. And then in that second semester of your foundation year, depending on your concentration, is when you pick an elective here. So even for our core students that are coming to us from disciplines outside of social work, you need to be thinking about your concentration from the beginning because you pick your concentration at the beginning of your second term or your second semester. Because my interpersonal students either take DSM or my ICPL, Innovation in Community Policy and Leadership students take community measures. So for the core program, your cohort will be all together for that first year. And then that you diverge in the second year, which is parallel to the advanced standing program. So if you looked at the advanced standing program or plan of work that I showed earlier, it would look very similar to this. You're taking practice courses, intervention, assessment, and then for ICPL, community social work, same type of deal, community measures, community building, research, policy, etc. And all of these programs, all of these program options also have practicum internships as a part of social work education as their degree requirement. So for folks that are new to social work, practicum is also sometimes referred to as field. Those are our in-person mandatory experiential learning opportunities. So working with a real social worker in a real practice setting 2 days a week. And that goes even for our first year core students, that might not feel like, ready to do social work. You go right in, get right in your hands, get your hands dirty right away. And I think that's one of the most important and distinguishing features of social work education as opposed to other helping profession degrees is you're leaving this program with 2 to 3 years of concrete work experience. You're not just sitting in the classroom, you're sitting in the classroom learning and then digesting and practicing those concepts out in the real world. For our MSW students, you do the kind of the best way to think about it is 2 days a week, right? So in order to meet the certain amount of clock hours needed per semester, you must complete I think, yeah, approximately 225 each semester. Essentially, that boils down to 2 8-hour days or 16 hours a week. Um, we get a lot of questions about practicum. Um, and we have a whole office advisor, director that can better explain some of those policies along with a robust amount of information on our website. One of the most common questions I think we get is, can I do my practicum placement at my job? The long and short answer to that is sort of. We do allow students to do worksite placements. However, those placements have to be completed separate outside of their paid work. So you cannot count your paid work hours as your internship. And the only part of the reason that I bring that up is for students that are working that might need evening or weekend practicum placements, those are not guaranteed. So applying early ensures your better opportunity for a practicum placement that works for your work schedule or life commitments. And I always recommend students think about their time budgets coming into the program. In addition to just our standard MSW education that includes your concentration and your experiential learning through your practicum education, we also have a wide range of other non-required but supplemental curriculum, certifications and dual degree programs. I'm not going to go ahead and go through all of the web pages for all of these, but in short, if you're interested, if there's a specific type of social work or a population that you're interested in working with, I strongly recommend that you do your research to find out what opportunities are available at our school to best give you the credentials to do ethical practice with that population. So we have certificates in gerontology, developmental disabilities, drug and alcohol use. We have a joint master's program in public health. So if you're interested in epidemiology and understanding how systems work in relation to healthcare, MSW MPH might be worthwhile. We have a dual degree program called Infant Mental Health, working with expecting mothers to improve mental health outcomes for them and their baby. All is to say, the whole point of the MSW is to receive specialized education. The MSW is where you concentrate and get the skills that you need to work with specific populations. That's why most social workers do an MSW, as opposed to the generalist practice of a BSW. So another really popular one is our temporary approval for school social workers. If you want to be a school social worker, which is another very popular career option, there's a whole cluster of classes and approval pathway that you kind of have to go through as well. So if that's something of interest, again, do your homework and before you start doing your homework and understand essentially what do you want to get out of this experience and what opportunities do we have that are available for you. Just real quick, I also just want to highlight, social work can be hard work, serious work, but we have a really great support system that's here to help you get through your education, maybe have a little bit of fun too. This is some of the folks that work in our Office of Admissions and Student Services, OASS. Again, everything in social work is an acronym. We offer a wider range of services through our advising and our success coaches. That includes, advising, curriculating your plan of work, writing support, career services, our student organizations. We do a lot of different stuff to make sure that students have not just a good learning experience, but an enriching one. Some of those support services we mentioned, we have our own in-house writing tutor. We do a wide range of workshops and success events. We just had one an hour earlier on APA. We do a job fair every semester for our upcoming graduates, and we give out thousands of dollars each year in private scholarships. The other half of my job are our student organizations. I also advise our student organizations. These are just some of them. We have even more that are available for browse on our website. All of these different organizations are completely run and represent our run by and represent our student body. We have our Muslim Women's Association, our Work Disability Justice Coalition, our Queer Alliance, our Wayne Defenders, who work with our Holistic Defense Program at the intersection of social work and law. And these are just another excellent opportunity to get involved, meet new students, and start practicing your skills while you're still in the classroom. So let's go ahead. I see there's a lot of activity in the chat. I don't want to necessarily stop for questions right now, but I'm going to go ahead and get into the kind of the nuts and bolts of the admission criteria, right? So for our students that are applying to the program, this is particularly relevant to you. Our admission cycle runs from September to May every year. If you take anything out of this whole presentation, the next couple of hours, I want it to be this: apply early, apply now. If you are eligible for this next year, apply as soon as possible. Our application is now open for spring, summer, and fall term. Our requirements are a 2.5 minimum GPA and a 4-year degree. Again, either that be a BSW for the advanced standing program or another degree for the core program. And we also ask through the admissions materials that you demonstrate a suitability to the profession. Graduate education, it's got to be a good fit for everybody, right? All of the admissions criteria and materials can be found on our website, socialwork.wayne.edu. They consist of as follows, and anybody that has been applied to the BSW program or another MSW program, this will probably look kind of similar. We require that you complete an admission statement, 3 to 5 full pages, of which there are specific guidelines on our website. So again, socialwork.wayne.edu, you can find the MSW rubric to complete your admission statement. We also ask that you submit an educational resume, which includes all of your education and work experience. We need official and unofficial copies of all transcripts from all previous schools you attended. And we also ask you to submit 2 to 3 professional references that can speak to your work experience. Altogether, that makes up the application process. I don't think any of the admission is necessarily overtly complicated. It's just time consuming. So again, I recommend that you apply as soon as possible. Unfortunately, there's a misprint on this slide. Our MSW application is now closing on May 1st. May 1st is our formal application date, closing date. However, our application is now open and we are reviewing applications shortly. We already have some submitted. One of the biggest things that we come back to is scholarships, right? We have a wide range of scholarships that students are able to apply for, but you need to be admitted to the program to be able to apply for scholarships. So let's all do a really quick thought exercise. Let's get in the time machine, right? Let's go to May 1st, right? The application is due. Students that apply close to May 1st, however, will be scholarship ineligible. The important date to keep in mind is March 1st. That is when the scholarship application for not just Wayne, but most, or if not all, universities closes. So therefore, students that apply to the MSW program after March 1st will be scholarship ineligible. Let me just say that one more time. Students that apply after March 1st will be ineligible to apply for scholarships. You need to apply for those scholarships. Those scholarships often require letters and, short essays and stuff like that. So you need to give yourself time to complete those scholarship materials. You also need to give yourself time to be reviewed and admitted to the program to then be accepted to apply for scholarships. Do you see where I'm getting here? So my general recommendation, advisor to student, is that you apply by the end of the calendar year. Kind of just a nice rotating target for students. I'm encouraging students to finish their MSW applications around December 30th to January 1st unofficially. Not going to see that on our website, but from me to you, so that you give yourself enough time to apply for scholarships. If you are curious about how much this program costs, we have a tuition fee calculator at registration.wayne.edu. Some students who are in certain areas of Windsor or Ohio might qualify for our Good Neighbor program and those tuition rates. And again, we have plenty of scholarships, but you need to be able accepted in order to be applied for them. So again, March 1st, the scholarship application closes. So as soon as you can get your application in, the better. And that also goes for the same goes for class registration, practicum placements. And I think students often see the deadline for an application and say, well, I've got plenty of time. Sure, you have plenty of time, but the sooner the better, especially for those administrative processes. It's kind of a waterfall effect. After you've been admitted to the program, everything else kind of falls into place. One of the best ways I think to learn about the program, if you're looking at other schools or just kind of dipping your toe in, maybe you're applying for the following year, follow us on social media. We do a really, really great job of keeping our social media up to date and reflective of what's going on in the School of Social Work. So you'll find us on all major platforms. And if there's an event or something that you see on there that's interested to you, please, by all means, RSVP and come out. We're really big on community engagement. So, we see our doors as being open. So if there's something that you'd like to come say, hey, you are more than welcome to, even as a prospective student. This is the contact information for our school. I need to revise these slides so that I am on there, but these are our handsome advisors. Here's me. Here's Mr. Jeffrey Jones, our BSW advisor. And then for our MSW students, again, we have two advisors depending on your program. So for our MSW students, Mr. Lawrence Robinson here, and then Miss Naila Burks is our MSW core advisor. All of them are available to help you once you're in the program, but until then, I am your guy. So let me go ahead and orally give you my email address if you have any questions. You can contact me at eu6337@wayne.edu. I'm happy to answer any questions or schedule an appointment. I feel like that was a lot of information, but I wanted to just kind of cover what was most relevant. Again, we are going to be having a second half of our program today dedicated exclusively to discussing our concentrations and our career pathways. So folks that have questions about what does clinical practice look like, and can I be a therapist? What is community social work? We'll be answering that in the second part of our presentation today, which will happen on a separate Zoom. I'm seeing a lot of different application questions. I'm going to go ahead and shall I defer to my colleagues to answer some questions? How should we best do this? Thank you everybody for your time and attention.
Yeah, why don't we take some, I know that some of your questions have been answered in the chat by our colleagues. But I know many of them weren't, and I appreciate Dr. O'Donnell has been keeping track of the questions to make it easier for us. And so I'm looking at those, so thank you. How about if I start with some, and then folks can come in and I'll, if someone keep an eye out. I've been letting people in from the wait room, so if someone else can do that, okay, cool. And then we said we would talk about licensing, so I'll spend a few minutes talking about that. Lawrence and Amelia, feel free to jump in if I miss something. How about if I start? So let me I'm gonna make some general comments because I saw a lot of questions about applying and whether, so that might be helpful. So to reiterate something that Andre mentioned, if you have a BSW degree, and if you're still in the program, there were a lot of questions at the beginning. Can I apply while I'm taking classes? Yes, absolutely. Many students are, they're in their senior year, whether it's the BSW or a non-social work major, you can apply now. And we review your application based on what, what you have done. And if your GPA is not strong, for example, and you want us to look at your grades for the fall semester, you can still apply now, and you can always submit another transcript that has your grades for the fall semester that you want us to consider. If you submit your application in December and your grades are not up, for example, so you can always submit those. You have to have a bachelor's degree in social work that is 5 years or less to be eligible for advanced standing. If your BSW degree is older than 5 years, you're applying for the core program. And then I want to make sure that there was a question about if I apply for in-person, can I switch to online or vice versa? And the answer was yes, you can, but I want to qualify it. It depends on whether there's room, right? So if you apply for in-person and later you want to switch to online, you can make a request with your advisor. But if we're at capacity, we may say, sorry, you can't do that. So it is best if you can think through which is best for you. Now, sometimes that's clear. Some of you know that you can want to do in-person or online and you apply for those. And we've had a lot of students that have switched and we've been able to do that, but I just want to make sure that students know, and I don't want someone to come back and say, well, you said I could do that and now you're saying I can't. If we are at capacity, we may say we're at capacity, and it just depends from year to year. We don't, sometimes I can sort of think about knowing how many students we'll have. Some years we get more of one or the other, so it's hard to kind of gauge where we might be next year. So think through what is best for you. The May 1st deadline is the same for advanced standing and core. As Andre mentioned, we encourage you to submit your applications earlier rather than later. We do have rolling admissions, as someone asked. That means that we are not waiting until May 1st to review applications. We are reviewing them as they come in. And if you get your application into us, before the end of the year, we typically let students know the decision within 30 days, typically, right? And that means that we need everything, all of your material. There was a question about transcripts. Let me make some general questions about transcripts. When you apply, you're submitting a student copy of your transcript. It doesn't have to be official. It can be unofficial. We just want to see what your grades are. Now, you are going to need to submit an official transcript to Wayne State's graduate school. And then one of the questions, there were several questions about the application having two parts. That is correct. You're applying to Wayne State if you're not already a Wayne State student to grad school, and then you're applying to us. So they are two separate applications. There's no fee with either of them. Usually there's a fee associated with grad school, but there isn't this year. It was waived. So when you apply, you're submitting an official transcript to grad school. For us, as long as we have a student copy of a transcript, that's fine. I also want to make it very clear that those of you that are still taking classes this semester, when you submit your transcripts, it's not a degree posted transcript because you're still taking classes, right? So after you graduate and only after your degree is posted on your transcript, you do need to send another official transcript to Wayne State that has your degree posted on it. That can be problematic, but you'll have a hold place on your record if we don't have that, if grad school doesn't have that. If you're a Wayne student, you don't have to because they'll get it. It just takes them a minute to get it. But if you're a non-Wayne State student, you are going to need to have initially a transcript that has grades up until this semester, for example, and then again, a degree posted transcript once you have everything done. I also want to pivot a little bit and talk about practicum. Asked about, can they do their placement where they work? And I think one of my colleagues responded and said yes, but I want to qualify it. You can request to do your placement where you work. The decision whether you can do the rest There are certain guidelines that have to be met. We have that's part of our accrediting body, the Council on Social Work Education. You have to have been employed at the agency for a period of time, and you can't do your work as your internship. It can't be what you're doing. It has to be something different with a different unit. So your organization has to be large enough to allow an opportunity for you to do an internship that is separate. The idea is that you get a different experience with someone who is a social worker who has at least 2 years of post-degree experience and is going to be willing to provide you with supervision to do that internship. And again, that is something that our Office of Practicum Education will review and determine if you can do that or not. So I just want to make that very clear. I think I'd like Lawrence maybe to talk a little bit about the MSW MPH program, because there was a question about whether the MSW JD, which we don't, but so a lot of students tend to have an interest. After Lawrence, you can do that and maybe address some of the other questions, then I'll talk about licensing.
Okay. So we do have a joint degree MSW Master's Public Health program. This program full-time would be 2 years for advanced standing students. And full-time for core students, it would be 3 years. You can also do the program part-time, it would be 3 or 4 years as well. For advanced standing students, it's around 60 credits. For the joint degree MSW MPH program, for the core students, it's around 85 credits. So this is for students who want to get a master's in social work, but also want to get a master's in public health. They tend to get a master's in social work and focus on interpersonal practice, and then the public health covers more of the macro side of things. It's a great opportunity. You get to get 2 master's degrees and consolidate the number of courses that you need to take. If you're interested, please follow up and email me, and we can do a one-on-one call and talk about the curriculum and get that information to you. And I can also connect you with the Master's in Public Health advisor as well.
Someone asked if they could start in winter. So can you talk about that, Lawrence?
For advanced, no, you cannot start
I mean-
in the winter semester. No, no one can start the program in the winter semester. So if you're advanced standing full-time, you must start in the summer. So that can be in either starting in the spring, which is in May, or in June. Or starting in the summer, which is in June. You can start as a full-time advanced standing student. Now for the core program, well, let me go back to advanced standing. Now, if you want to be part-time in the advanced standing program, which means you have to complete the program in 2 years, then you can start the advanced standing program in the fall semester, which is late August. Okay. I want to nail that down one more time. So you can start the advanced standing program as a full-time student in the spring or the summer semester. You can start it as a part-time student in the fall. Okay. Now for the core program, that you must start in the fall semester. That will be in late August when you start the core program.
There have been questions about transcripts that just really quick. We don't need high school transcripts, only undergraduate transcripts. So, and we do need them from all institutions that you've attended. So if you went to community college and then a 4-year school, we need both. Even though sometimes students say, well, the 4-year school I graduated from has the courses listed from my community college, but Wayne State requires transcripts from all institutions you've attended. So please send all of those when you apply. Someone asked about requirements for the application, if it's different, if you apply for online or in person, they're the exact same. The requirements are not different. You still have to submit your application. We require a statement, 2 reference letters, resume, and transcripts. Someone said they couldn't see the checklist for reference letters, please take a look. And if you're having difficulty, reach out to Andre and he can assist you. Those are required. You're not uploading letters. What you're doing is you need to know who you're going to ask to do your letter. So it's going to ask you for the name of the person and their email. And then the university sends them a form to fill out, and they can upload a letter if they wish. So all of that is on the application, and you want to take a look at that.
I don't know if folks can see my screen. A lot of the information that we're covering and some of the minutia questions, I realize this is a lot, is all available on our website. So before you send a bunch of emails and get frustrated and make a bunch of phone calls, take the time to go through all of the pages on our website. Almost everything is here, or should be here. For example, what is the difference between MSW Advanced Standing and Core? Available here, right here. All of the guidelines we've been referring to and instructions. Here's the process overall. Here's the paper. Here's the resume. Here's the references Dr. Najor was just answering. So all to be said, we are happy to help and we are here to advise as much as possible, but just encourage you to also, do some research, because that's the kind of thing you'll be needing to do as a social work student anyway. Sorry to interrupt.
No, definitely. Everybody can jump in if they have questions. Someone asked about if you apply for online, are you required to be on campus? So I want to clarify. So we are accredited by the Council on Social Work Education, and we have informed CSWE that we offer an in-person MSW program and an online MSW program. That requires us to meet certain criteria, which means that if a student comes into online, they're required to do all their required courses online. They can take some of their electives in person, and vice versa. If they're an in-person student, they have to take the required courses in person. So if you're an online student, all your courses are online. You're not required to be on campus. We love you to be on campus. We have lots of activities. Andre mentioned some of those. It's a nice way for you to connect with other students. We have events throughout the year that we offer for students to participate in and to come and meet faculty face-to-face and other students. So definitely you can come. Although please be mindful, your internship is not online. Whether you're an online student or an in-person student, your field placement, your practicum, where you do your internship, which is 2 days a week, is at an agency. It is not online. You are going to be sent to an organization that connects with us, that is affiliated with us, and we will send you there for an interview. You and the agency will agree that you will do your internship there. You have to finish it. You're doing 2 days a week of practicum each semester for the foundation year, the core year, and the advanced year. 2 different placements. If you're advanced standing, you're just doing one because you've done one in your BSW program. So you're putting in 16 hours a week, 225 clock hours per semester when you're doing an internship, again, at an agency where you will be supervised by an MSW who has at least 2 years of post-degree experience, and again, is assigned by the school. And you'll be followed by a liaison who will be responsible and will grade you in your field placement as well. I will mention also that we're a professional program. The expectation is that students maintain a B or better in courses. If a student gets a grade that is below a B, including a B minus, they are on academic probation. Anything below a C is automatically an F, which can result in termination from the program. I say that not to sort of frighten or cause anxiety, but I say that to remind students it's important to prepare, right? This is not a difficult program, but it's an intense program. It does require you to think about, what are you going to do in your life to adjust so that you make time for the program? Because it will not only the time that is spent going to class or doing the readings, but the assignments and the group projects, and of course the internship is going to take a great deal of time, and you have to think through what you're going to do to make sure that you make room to make that happen, because you don't want to spend the kind of time and money that is needed. And then, if you're not able to do the work and you don't want to receive a grade that can place you in jeopardy in terms of your academic record in the program. I know, let's see, it's 5:12. Let me maybe as I'm doing this, if Andre or Lawrence or Dr. O'Donnell can take a look at the questions, if we haven't answered any, maybe you can answer them. And while you're looking at those, let me spend some time talking about licensure because we said we would talk about that. So, social work is in Michigan is has what is called practice protection and title protection. That means in the state of Michigan, it is illegal for anyone to say that they are a social worker, to use the term social work without licensure. So, and you can't practice social work. That's what I mean when I say practice protection. So, and it hasn't always been this way. So there was a time when folks could apply for positions and say they were doing social work without the degree. And when licensure took place back in 2005, the law changed and required individuals to have a social work degree from an accredited institution and also to be licensed to begin practicing. When you graduate with your master's degree in social work, you are eligible to apply for a limited licensed master social worker, which allows you to begin to practice under the supervision of someone who is fully licensed. That is someone who has an LMSW, licensed master social worker. After you practice for 2 years and put in 2,000 hours each year, so that's 4,000 hours of practice under the supervision of someone who's fully licensed, you then take a test through the Association of Social Work Boards, and you pass that test, and then your supervisor affirms that you did those 4,000 hours of supervised work. You can then request to change your license from a limited license to a full license, and then you're able to practice independently. You don't need to keep this in your head, because when you are in the program each year, at least twice in December and in March or April, we have professional development series where we talk about the license process, and we'll send you information so you will know exactly what you need to do to apply for licensure well before you graduate, so that when you graduate and are applying for positions, many organizations are going to ask you to have proof of licensure in order for you to apply for positions. So we'll make sure that you have that information and that you have opportunities to meet all the other requirements of licensure so that you're on the ground running when you graduate. So I'll stop there and maybe turn it over to one of my colleagues to address other questions we might not have gotten to.
I see that someone just asked in the chat, can someone talk about what the schedule looks like for full-time in-person students and advanced standing? So I'll try to do that, and I'll also put the link in the chat to the course list for advanced standing. I'll just put it there. But so advanced standing program, again, it's a 36 credit hour program. You start during the spring, summer. You can take anywhere from, well, we're scheduled to take it about around 6 credits during the summer to stay on track for the 10-month program. The 10-month program means you graduate in May of the following year. So if you want to stay on the 10-month track, you want to take at least probably 6 credits. You can take more, but you would want to talk to your advisor to, consult if it's a good idea for you during the summer, if it aligns with your schedule and lifestyle. But if you take 6 credits, then you need to take anywhere between 14 to 16 credits during the fall and winter semester. So that's an internship, and that comes with around 4 classes in an internship, 14 to 16 credits each semester. So an internship, which is 16 hours a week, and then 4 classes is normally what it looks like as in-person, advanced standing, full-time, 10-month program. But there's another option. You can also do you can complete the program in 12 months. And what you would do is you would roll over some of your courses from the fall and winter to the following spring or summer semester, and you would graduate officially in August and get your degree certified. That's a 12-month program, or you can also do it in 16 months, which means you roll over some of your classes to the following fall semester and graduate in December of the following year. So you can do it in 10 months, you can do it in 12 months, you can do it in 16 months, and you can also, of course, do the 2-year program if you start the whole program in the fall semester. So hope that made sense, but I also included the link to the curriculum and what it looks like in the chat.
There have been questions about certificate programs, so let me make a comment about those. So, and I know Andre had listed some certificates like there was a gerontology, CADIS. So you have to either be in a master's program or already have a master's program in order to apply for a certificate. And yes, you do need to apply separately for the certificate. It's a much less cumbersome process to apply for the certificate. On our application, you can go on there and it'll have directions on whether you're a new student to Wayne or if you're already a Wayne student, what you need to do to apply for the certificate program. You can, if you're in the master's program and want to do a certificate, for example, the CADIS, which is the certificate in substance use certificate. There, like, for example, that certificate has 12 credit hours. 9 of those 12 credit hours can be taken as part of your master's program. You can double dip. So 9 of the 12, that means you have 3 credits left that you have to take beyond your master's program. So that to do the math, say you're doing the core program, which is 60 credits, and you want to do the CADIS certificate program, you would graduate with 63 credit hours and meet both requirements. 9 of those 12 are part of your 60, and then the additional 3 credits gets added above the 60. That's how you get to the 63 credit hours. So there have been questions about this recording. Please, we are recording this, and we will send the recording out to everyone who RSVP'd. If you RSVP'd, we have your name and email address, so we'll send it to you, and we'll likely post it on our YouTube page so that you can access it that way, but we'll make sure that it gets sent to students. I think were there any other questions that anyone is, and if anyone wants to raise their hand, if we didn't answer your question, we're happy to try to get to that before we close this session to prepare for our 5:30 session, where we will cover the curriculum. And again, we will only cover the curriculum at that session. I do want to say that for those of you that are current students, I don't know if there are any MSW core students, they need to know their concentration before they register for classes in the winter semester, because the courses there's one course they take in the winter that is concentration specific. So it will be important to be mindful of that, although there may not be folks. I don't know whose hand went up first. Is it Olive or Leah? Olive, you want to start, and then we'll have Leah go.
Yeah, so I went to Wayne State in person for my bachelor's, but I have moved across the country. And so the online program is really appealing to me, and there's tons of opportunities here to work with like the Department of Health and Human Services through Montana. But I'm wondering, because that's not like something you guys have already approved, would that still be possible?
I'm really glad you asked that question, because we didn't cover that. And so I appreciate the question. So our online program allows students, obviously, as I said, to take classes online. We are not our online program is for students in Michigan. We don't have the capacity and the ability to arrange placements outside of our region. So the majority of our agencies tend to be in the Tri-County area, Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, although we do have placements, like we have students in Canada, which is right across the bridge. We have some placements that are, bordering Ohio for students that are deciding to come. And then we've gotten more students from the upper side part of Michigan, and in fact, some just beyond the bridge. So we've been able to kind of do that, but outside of Michigan, we just unfortunately don't have the capacity. So if you are looking to, and you do need to be residing in Michigan, unfortunately, I'm sorry. But thank you for asking the question, because I forgot to say folks to be mindful. Leo?
Yeah, so I am in my BSW program right now, and I'm not able to accept any scholarships being part-time. Is that something that would be the same in a master's program as well?
No, I mean, you can apply, you reminded me, I saw a question about stipends. I'll make a comment about those. You can, for grad school, there are many less scholarships than there are for undergrad. Like some of you may be eligible for Pell Grants. There are no Pell Grants at the graduate level. So a lot of students apply for private scholarships, and some private scholarships can pay as little as a few $100s and some as a few $1,000s. It depends. These are scholarships that have been donated by alums or families of alums that want to memorialize a loved one, for example. So they do vary. That's why Andre said you need to submit your application in early in order to be eligible, because that application for the private scholarships closes March 1, so you have to be admitted by that point. But many of those scholarships require you to file a FAFSA, because the FAFSA allows grad school and us to have a sense of people's needs, because some of the scholarships are need-based. So the FAFSA gives us that information. And when you apply to the private scholarships here at Wayne, it'll ask for that information so that all of that will be uploaded. So, and whether you're part-time or full-time there are some scholarships that are specific, might say this is for full-time only, but I will say that the majority of them tend to say both part-time or full-time. Some are specific to undergrad, some are specific to grad. So the way the platform that's used will ask you a bunch of questions, and then it'll be matched with scholarships that you're eligible for. And then and then you'll be evaluated along with other folks who apply to see if you'll be selected. Someone asked about the 1914 funds. This past year, we applied for a grant with the State of Michigan Health and Human Services, and they actually awarded us $1 million, where the majority of those funds were given to students in the form of stipends. There were also stipends that were associated with child welfare, and one that was associated with schools, and another one with the behavioral health that was a federal grant. Will those be available next year? Some of them will be. I know, like the child welfare probably will be, as will next year will be our last year under the health and resources one, the HRSA, which is it's a federal grant. The 30,000 grant that someone asked about, I have no idea. Right now, they're saying there's no plans to have that funding available, but it will depend on the budget. If it is available, we will be sure to apply for it. So just keep an eye out. And if you're admitted, talk to your advisor and find out. And when you do your internship, you also can ask about stipends, because some of the stipends are associated with specific types of internships. So it's hard to kind of plan for that, but ask anyway. I will, before I have Kyra ask her question, and that'll be the last one because we need to prepare to go to the next session. We're going to I see that my colleague put the link for evaluation. Please take a minute to do the evaluation. It's very short. It gives us feedback from you so that we can think about making this better next year, right? And make sure that we include things that you need. And then someone is going to submit a link to the next session if you don't already have it. So I'll have Kyra have her question. I'll throw it back to Andre. Kyra?
Hi. So my question is kind of answered, but like on my application, I'm interested in applying for the online track, but like there is not like a recommendation section where I'm able to add like my references email. But I noticed for the in-person track, I'm able to add like my references and the recommendation information. I'm not sure if anybody else has this issue, but like, is there a way that this can be resolved?
Yeah, send an email to Andre, Kyra, and Andre and I will tomorrow we'll bring it up with the MSW processor who's looking at applications to see if this has come up with anyone else and if it's an issue we need to address. So I appreciate you bringing it up.
Okay, thank you. Will.
Thank you. Over to you, Andre.
Thank you, Dr. Nizjarak. Yeah, and apologies if there was any questions that we weren't able to answer. We were keeping track. We had over 75 questions, so we really, really appreciate everybody submitting their thoughts. If we were not able to get the information that you need, the specific question that you had, please send me an email at eu6337@wayne.edu. My job is to help you to apply to the program. Want to make sure you have all the information that you need. If I don't reply to you today, I'll get to you tomorrow. Also, please join us for the next session, which the Zoom link has been posted in the chat several times. Please join us for the concentration session. And please, even if you do not join us at 5:30, please complete the evaluation survey. It is very, very, very important that you complete that evaluation. We want to make sure that MSW Day is the best it can be. So please, please, please take the time. If you are on this call and can hear my voice, please click the link for the evaluation form. It's literally like 3 questions, so it should take you less than 2 minutes. So please complete the evaluation form and join us at 5:30. I'm gonna go ahead and end this call in just a second here because we need time to transition to our 5:30 call. Thank you everybody for joining us today. Again, if you have a specific question that was not answered, please feel free to send me an email, and otherwise we will see you at our next session.
I think you need to stop recording, Andre, before we end.
Gotcha.